Y'all set? All right. I love the way Yahweh brings everything together. Because if you've been here from Shabbat school, through the Torah reading and everything, it all is just fitting together. And hopefully this is going to fit together for you too. And I'm going to try to be as brief as I can, and if you need more from this, I can give you some more. But I'm going to be talking a little bit about what we've been talking about during the Torah reading, and that's like, how do we figure this stuff out? You know, there's a lot here. And so what I'm going to be talking about, and most specifically, is researching biblical Hebrew. But you can extend this into the Greek as well, but I'm having troubles enough learning Hebrew. I'm not fluent in biblical Hebrew. I've been studying it for a few years, but Hebrew is kind of like English. You know, they say English is a really hard language to learn. And one of the reasons they say that is because you've got a lot of rules that a language follows, but then English breaks them all. Well, Hebrew's the same way. They have a lot of rules, but then they break them all. And one of the things that my Hebrew teacher keeps pounding in us, and Sean mentioned this earlier, context. Context is everything in Hebrew. Now, there's a few tools that have been talked about today. They talked about Bible Gateway. That's a good place to go to get some scriptural stuff put together. Bible Hub, that's another good one. eSword is another good one that helps bring things together. I'm going to be talking about some more specific references here. And the reason I'm doing that is there's been people that have, talked about different things, and you have to look at the resources that you have, and you have to understand what the resources were and how to properly use them. Because if you don't know that, you can get way off course. And so what we're going to start off with is Strong's Concordance. A lot of people use Strong's Concordance. I mean, it's probably the most used biblical reference out there. And it's not a bad one. It's actually very good. Now, what is Strong's Concordance? Well, Strong's Concordance is a concordance, and I'll define that here in a second. In fact, let's do that right now. A concordance is an alphabetical list of the words, especially the important ones, present in the text, usually with citations and passages in which they are found. So, Strong's Concordance is based on the King James Version of the Bible. Okay, so it's specifically focused on the King James Version, and it takes each of at least the major words in the Bible, and gives you where it was located, and it does give you a general idea of the meaning of the word. The problem with that is it's not a dictionary, it's not a lexicon, and we're going to talk about those in a second. It's a concordance. The purpose of Strong's Concordance is to show you where these words are, so that you can see perhaps the relationship between the usage of these words throughout the King James Bible. And that can be very helpful. And we'll see that later on as I go through an example here. So that's what Strong's Concordance is. It's a good reference. I mean, it can be very helpful. Now, we're all probably familiar with a dictionary. There's dictionaries of biblical Hebrew. And a dictionary is a book or electronic resource that lists words of a language, typically in alphabetical order, and gives their meaning and gives the equivalent words in a different language, perhaps, if you're, using one that has biblical Hebrew and English. and often also provides information about pronunciation, or origin, and usage. So a dictionary can give you a little bit more information about a word, how it's used, its origin, and those kind of things can give you a little bit more information about a word and how it came about and how it is used. Now, lexicon is something you probably may not be familiar with. Lexicons can be even more helpful than a dictionary. A lexicon is the vocabulary of a person, language, or branch of knowledge. So a lexicon covers a language. And in a lexicon, what you're going to have is you're going to have a definition, but you're going to have, it's going to break it down by its usage, a noun, verb, and so on. It's going to break verbs down even further, like in Hebrew there's several verb forms, and it gives you definitions, because as the verb form changes, the meaning of the word changes or can change. So a lexicon can be extremely helpful to you as you are looking for meaning of a word in Hebrew. The difficulty of using a lexicon for biblical Hebrew is you kind of got to know some basics of the Hebrew language and the Hebrew grammar in order to use a lexicon. Because like I said, you've got to understand the verb form, and you've got to be able to find the word in the lexicon. Because typically most words in Hebrew have a 3-letter root. Most. It gets complicated. Again, rules can be broken. And so sometimes finding the 3-letter root of a word can be difficult. So just a caution there. Let's see here. Okay, I covered all that stuff here. All right, and we're going to get to some fun here in a second. All right, so we can use all these resources together, and that can help us out. One of the things I like to do, and you can't always do this too, there's limitations on all these approaches, is one of the things I like to do is you kind of can use a concordance with this. Like I said, you can use a concordance to find where a word's used in other places within the scriptures. And that can be helpful to you because, again, context. You can see how that word is used in context in various locations within the scriptures. So that can be very helpful to you. Because what I like to do, if a word appears a lot, that means you've got a lot of places you can go to see how it's used and give you a little bit more information about the meaning. So what I like to do when I can is I like the scriptures to define the scriptures. You see where it's used and how it's used in different places, and that can help to tie things together. So we're going to do that. Now I'm going to try to do this, okay, I got some time here. And like I said, I could go on with just this one word and it could be hours, but I'm going to abbreviate it. Until the sun sets. That's correct. All right. And you've heard me use this word before and talk about it. And so it's been one of my personal studies, and so it's been kind of eye-opening as I've been studying this in preparation for this. And the word I chose to make my example is chesed. Okay? Now that's a word that's loaded in Hebrew. Loaded with meaning. Now, we're going to start off, we're going to go to Strong's Concordance. And if you look in Strong's Concordance, they have numbers for each of the words. So this is H2617. And it lists all the places it's used 253 times in the Tanakh. And it also gives some meanings. It means kindness, can be kindness towards God, piety, Rarely reproof, favor, good deed, goodliness, goodness, kindness, loving kindness, merciful kindness, and so on and so forth. I consulted the Concise Dictionary of Classical Hebrew, and it gives the definition of loyalty, faithfulness, kindness, love, mercy, and it further gives a little bit more information because it talks about different ways this word is used, because sometimes it's used from Yahweh to humans, sometimes from humans to Yahweh, and sometimes between humans. And there's a little difference in the meaning when it's used in those different ways. A second definition is listed, meaning shame, reproach, or shameful thing. Ooh, that's interesting, isn't it? Wow. And then I consulted two different lexicons, and basically it gives very similar things. But again, there's disgrace and shameful thing. That's interesting. And loyalty, faithfulness, kindness, grace, godly deeds, evidences of grace. Probably the pinnacle lexicon of biblical Hebrew is Brown Driver's Briggs. And that one, if you look through there, because it gives you places it's used, and it's like 2.5 pages, so I'm not going to go through all. But again, it's similar things that we've been talking about, being good, kind, goodness, so on and so forth. But there's that opposite meaning that jumps in there. So when you put all these things together, makes you go, because it's still not nailed down very well. So now I go to the scriptures and I start looking at them, and I kind of focused my examples that I'm pulling out of here is from Yahweh to human. That's kind of, I focused it down that much, although I do bring out the one antithetical definition of Hesed, because that's important, because the other meaning for Hesed is almost the direct opposite of what most other places it's used. So that's a cautionary tale to you. You got to be very careful, and when you're looking up words and such and trying to figure out what the heck's going on here. So I'm going to run through some examples here, and I'm going to just do a few of them here, and then I'm going to show you some other things that come into play. Genesis 24:12. And he said, O Yahweh, the God of my master Abraham, I pray you send me good speed this day and show kindness, that's the translation that they used here, chesed, to my master Abraham. In 24:12, let it be that the young man or the young woman to whom I shall say, let down your pitcher, please, so that I may drink. And she shall say, drink, and I will give your camels drink also. Let her be the one that you have appointed for your servant Isaac. And by it I shall know that you have shown kindness, chesed, again, to my master. So we're seeing here, okay, this is kind of showing some kindness here. And let me find this reference here. Let's see. Yeah. All right, so let me do this one here. Genesis 24:27. And he said, Blessed be Yahweh, the God of my master, Abraham, who has not left my master destitute of his mercy, chesed, and his truth. Oh, this is where it starts getting more interesting. Because as I started studying this, I found out, hey, there's some words that are commonly used in association with Hesed in the scriptures, so it starts to build a picture for you. And again, I'll go on to Genesis 24:49. And now if you will deal kindly, Chesed, and truthfully with my master, tell me. Again, there Chesed is linked with truthfulness. We'll go down to Exodus 34:6. Yahweh passed by before him and proclaimed Yahweh, Yahweh God, merciful and gracious, long-suffering, and abundant in goodness, chesed, and truth. This is getting even more interesting as we go along. Now, but here's where you got to be careful. In Leviticus 20:17, and if a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and see her nakedness, and she see his nakedness, it is a wicked thing. Oh, that's chesed too. Totally opposite. So you got to be careful. Context is everything. All right, so let's see here. I've got a bunch of examples here, but I'm going to kind of run through these. I'm going to highlight the ones that kind of jumped out at me here. Oh, this is where it gets even better. 1 Chronicles 16:34. Oh, give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, for his mercy, chesed, endures forever. Oh, so now we've got goodness and mercy, and endures forever. Oh, that's Chronicles 16:41. He left with them Heman and Yeduthan and the rest who were chosen, who were called by name, to give thanks to Yahweh, because his mercy, chesed, endures forever. Oh, so we're starting to see some other things used together here. 2 Chronicles 5:13. And they were as one to the trumpeters and to the singers, to make one sound, to be heard in praising and thanking Yahweh. And as they lifted up their voice with their trumpets and cymbals and instruments of music, and praised Yahweh, saying, for he is good, for his mercy, chesed, endures forever. Ooh, we see repeating themes here. And when things repeat in the scriptures, I think they're usually important. 2 Chronicles 7:3. And when the sons of Israel saw how the fire came down and the glory of Yahweh on the house, they bowed their faces to the ground on the pavement and worshipped and praised Yahweh, saying, for he is good, for his mercy, chesed, endures forever. And so you see that enduring forever theme continuing on through here as well. The Psalms are wonderful. If you want to know what chesed means, turn to the Psalms. There's a lot of good ones here. 40:10. I have not hidden your righteousness within my heart. I have declared your faithfulness and your salvation. I have not hidden your loving kindness, chesed, and your truth from the great congregation. And going on to verse 11. Do not withhold your tender mercies from me, O Yahweh. Let your loving kindness, chesed, and your truth always watch over me. Psalms 52:8. But I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the mercy, chesed, of God forever and ever. So again, we see that everlasting part coming in here. Let's see. Oh yeah. Here's where we get them all coming together. Psalm 105. For Yahweh is good, His mercy, chesed, is everlasting, and his truth endures for all generations. That puts it all together. 106:1. Praise Yahweh, O give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, and his chesed, his mercy, endures forever. 107:1. O give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, and his mercy, chesed, endures forever. And then here's another one that has very similar things, and I'll just read one of these verses, but it repeats 1, 2, 3, 4 times within Psalm 107. 107 verse 8. Oh, that men would praise Yahweh for his goodness, Hesed, and for his wonderful works to the sons of man. And that same phraseology is repeated, like I said, 4 times throughout that psalm. 115:1. This is still in Psalms. Not to us, O Yahweh, not to us, but to your name give glory for your mercy, chesed, and for your truth's sake. And then 118. 118 has this repeating, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and it's similar verbiage throughout that psalm. Oh, give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, and because his mercy, his chesed, endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord of Lords, for his mercy endures forever. To him who alone does great wonders, for his mercy endures forever. To him by wisdom made them, his mercy endures forever. To him who stretched out the earth above the waters, for his mercy endures forever. To him who made great lights. Gee, it's almost like we're reading Genesis here. His mercy endures forever. The sun to rule by day, his mercy endures forever. The moon and stars to rule by night, his mercy endures forever. To him who struck Egypt in their firstborn, his mercy endures forever. And brought Israel out from among them, his mercy endures forever. And brought Israel out from among them, for his mercy endures forever. With a strong hand and a stretched out arm, for his mercy endures forever. To him who divided the Red Sea into parts, for his mercy endures forever. And made Israel to pass through the middle of it, for his mercy endures forever. Led his people through the wilderness, for his mercy endures forever. To him who led his people through the wilderness, for his mercy endures forever. To him who struck great kings, for his mercy endures forever. And killed famous kings, for his mercy endures forever. Sihon, king of the Amorites, for his mercy endures forever. And Og, the king of Bashan, for his mercy endures forever. And gave their land for an inheritance, for his mercy endures forever. An inheritance to Yisrael, his servant, for his mercy endures forever. Who remembers us in our low estate, his mercy endures forever. And has redeemed us from our enemies, for his mercy endures forever. Who gives food to all flesh, for his mercy endures forever. Oh, give thanks to God of heaven, for his mercy endures forever. Wow. So, I got more here, but I think that sums it up pretty well, and we've had a lot.